Imagine a kid so poor he couldn't afford a real football, so he stuffed a sock with rags and kicked it around the dirt streets of a small Brazilian town. Now imagine that same kid, just a few years later, becoming the greatest football player who ever lived, winning the World Cup at 17, scoring over 1,000 goals, and making the entire planet stop to watch him play. His name was Pelé. And his story is the most beautiful game ever played, on and off the pitch. Edson Arantes do Nascimento, the world would later know him simply as Pelé, was born on October 23, 1940, in Três Corações, a small town in the state of Minas Gerais, Brazil. His family was desperately poor. His father, Donginho, was a footballer himself, talented, but never quite made it. His mother, Celeste, washed clothes to keep the family afloat. They moved frequently, always chasing better work, eventually settling in Bauru, São Paulo, where young Edson would grow up on unpaved streets with no shoes and no football. The nickname Pelé came from childhood. Its exact origin is unclear, and young Edson himself hated it at first. His real hero was his father, who despite never reaching the top, taught him everything about the beautiful game. Pelé would later say his father was the best footballer he ever saw, a statement that tells you everything about the kind of man he became. With no money for a real ball, the boys of Bauru played with whatever they could find: stuffed socks, grapefruits, tied-up rags. Pelé shined shoes to earn extra money for his family. He played barefoot in the streets, dribbling around imaginary defenders, scoring invisible goals, dreaming of something the streets of Bauru couldn't yet imagine for him. By age 11, he was already attracting attention. A former Brazilian international named Valdemar de Brito spotted him playing in the streets and was so stunned by what he saw that he personally drove the boy to Santos FC, one of Brazil's biggest clubs, and told the directors, "This boy will be the greatest footballer in the world." He was 15 years old. Pelé made his professional debut for Santos at 15. Within a year, he was the top scorer in the entire Brazilian league. At 16, he was called up to the Brazilian national team. And at just 17 years and 249 days old, he helped Brazil win the 1958 FIFA World Cup in Sweden, becoming the youngest player ever to win the tournament, a record that stands to this day. During that 1958 World Cup, the world witnessed something it had never seen before. In the semi-final against France, Pelé scored a hat-trick. In the final against Sweden, he scored twice, including a stunning volley that made the Swedish fans, in their own stadium, rise to their feet and applaud the opposition. When the final whistle blew, the 17-year-old collapsed on the pitch in tears while his teammates carried him on their shoulders. Hardened journalists in the press box wept. He went on to win the World Cup 2 more times, in 1962 and 1970, making him the only player in history to win 3 World Cups. The 1970 Brazil team, widely considered the greatest international football team ever assembled, played a brand of football so joyful, so technically perfect, so breathtakingly creative that people who watched it still struggle to describe it in words. Pelé was its heart. At club level, he spent 18 years at Santos FC, winning 6 Brazilian championships and 2 Copa Libertadores, South America's equivalent of the Champions League. He scored his 1,000th career goal on November 19, 1969, from a penalty kick at the Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. The match was stopped. Fans ran onto the pitch. Pelé wept. He dedicated the goal to the poor children of Brazil. His total career goal tally? Over 1,280 goals in 1,363 games, a number so extraordinary that statisticians still argue over the exact count. What nobody argues about is that nobody has ever come close. Pelé didn't just play football. He globalized it. In 1975, at the age of 34, he came out of retirement to join the New York Cosmos in the fledgling North American Soccer League, a move widely seen as career suicide. Instead, it was a stroke of genius. He brought football to America at a time when the sport barely existed there. He sold out stadiums, appeared on the cover of every major magazine, and introduced millions of Americans to the game they now call soccer. Pelé didn't just play in America, he planted football there. The growth of the sport in the United States over the following decades traces a direct line back to those 3 seasons in New York. Beyond football, Pelé became a global symbol of what Brazil could be, proof that talent and joy and creativity could come from the most unlikely places. He was appointed Brazil's extraordinary Minister of Sport in 1995 and pushed for sweeping reforms to clean up corruption in Brazilian football, legislation that still bears his name, the Lei Pelé. In 1999, he was named Athlete of the Century by the International Olympic Committee. FIFA named him the Player of the Century alongside Diego Maradona. Time magazine included him in their list of the 100 most important people of the 20th century. He has been awarded honorary citizenships, honorary doctorates, and the titles of National Treasure and Ambassador of Football, titles that barely scratch the surface of what he meant to the sport and to Brazil. But perhaps his greatest legacy is simpler than all of that. Every kid who ever kicked a ball in a favela, on a beach, on a dirt road, saw in Pelé the proof that it was possible. That you could come from nothing and become everything. That football, that beautiful, democratic, universal game, could lift you out of poverty and into the light. In his later years, Pelé battled health issues with the same dignity he had brought to everything else. He underwent hip surgery, kidney surgery, and in 2021 had a colon tumor removed. He continued to make public appearances, to send messages of encouragement to fans and players, to be present, always gracious, always warm, always Pelé. On December 29, 2022, Pelé passed away in São Paulo at the age of 82, surrounded by his family, after his cancer spread to multiple organs. Brazil declared 3 days of national mourning. His coffin was laid in state at the Vila Belmiro Stadium, the home ground of Santos FC, where he had played for 18 years, and over 230,000 people filed past to pay their respects. His funeral cortege passed through the streets of Santos while thousands more lined the route, many weeping, many holding up the golden number 10 jersey that had become synonymous with football greatness itself. Players, managers, and fans from every nation, every rival club, every corner of the footballing world paused to honor him. Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Mbappé, Neymar, the greatest players of the current generation, all posted the same thing: there are no words. Pelé once said, "The more difficult it is, the more satisfaction you get out of achieving it." He knew something about difficulty. He knew something about achievement. And he knew, more than anyone, what it felt like to transform a stuffed sock kicked around a dirt road into something the whole world would watch in awe. He was not just the greatest footballer who ever lived. He was proof that beauty, joy, and genius can come from anywhere, that the most extraordinary human gifts sometimes arrive wrapped in poverty, in bare feet, in a childhood that offered nothing but the dream of something more. The sock became a ball. The dirt road became the Maracanã. The barefoot boy became the king. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Who do you want to see next?